That sums it up, Dan.
Yep,
That
that's
sums it
welcome.
up.
Welcome to the madness, everybody. This is, of course, Fantasy NBA Today live. We thought we'd do a Saturday one, and then all hell broke loose. Scheduling conflicts and other what have you, and we had to shift things around a little bit. But we're here. We're on. We're ready to go. Brew, what's happening, my man? I got my lights. Rocking over here, so I'm not in darkness. You're not in darkness. This is as good as it
I
gets.
don't know. I was covering the Will Barton injury, and so I mean, it's. I love this stuff, man. I love blurbing. Busy nights. It's the equivalent of being in a newsroom environment, but for basketball. And so the whole idea is to get the stuff out fast and to make sure that it's good. And you're setting the market for different players, and I just love it. We're right in the middle of it, so um, I'm taking a break though. Panda's got me on that side, and here we are.
Here we
We
are.
survived first week. What more could you say, man?
I don't know. I'm trying to make sure all the levels are good. It seems like everything is a-okay. Just, first show of the year, you got to make sure the technical stuff is all right. This is still confusing for me. Big thank you once again to my boy Scott Douglas, who has walked me through setting up this video stuff repeatedly. Brew, you know what I don't like about our fancy video streams is that when I'm not talking, I'm still on camera. Normally when I stop talking, it auto flicks over to your screen, and I can just sit back and
What are you doing when I'm talking?
usually watching the Dodger game. But I can't do that tonight. It's the
Yeah, you
ninth
got
inning.
screwed out of Dodger game watching tonight, didn't you?
Well, sort of. I was watching a play happen. Infield single. We're good, everybody.
So I know nothing about baseball this year. Shocker.
You play
what's the
baseball.
deal?
This is Game 7. Dodgers,
Oh,
Brewers.
you're missing a game 7. You must hate us right now.
No, I'm pretty good, actually. We're Dodgers are up 5-1 in the ninth. If it was a tighter game, I think I'd be...
It is the NLCS, right?
Yeah, winner of this goes to
Okay.
Boston to start taking on the Red Sox
Ooh, man,
on Tuesday.
There's a lot of people going to have to pick a team they really hate in that one.
I hope that more people hate the Red Sox than the Dodgers. Don't we get the left coast fans just sipping Pinot Grigio? We're a very inoffensive fan base other than when that poor San Francisco Giants fan who got beaten to a pulp. But they've since taken a lot of measures to address that type of stuff. But overall, Dodger fans, nobody even cares about Dodger fans. We arrive late, we leave early. Boston fans, I think people generally dislike pretty strongly.
I live in San Francisco Giant country, Dan.
Yeah.
What are you
So
talking
you
about?
got skewed. That's skewed over there. We hate Giants up down here too. But nobody on the East Coast gives a crap about the Giants or the Dodgers. They don't.
No, because they're too busy bitching about the Yankees and the
Yep.
Red Sox.
Exactly. We're just for me it was like Cal Stanford. All of us at Cal really hated Stanford. And then we went down there for a big game and we were talking to Stanford students and they were just like, yeah, take it or leave it. Nothing's more frustrating than a half rivalry. That's so upsetting. That's like being treated like a child by an adult.
I don't even understand that. You're right. Stanford fans couldn't care less.
Yeah.
About any of that stuff. And Cal fans, I remember going to a game at I was 12 years old, and looking at the student section, thinking, I'm never going in there. That looks too crazy.
And that's left coast crazy. I mean, the football in the South, man, we got nothing. You want to talk some hoops?
Sure, let's do it.
I know it's relatively late for folks on the East Coast. We got the show getting started here. I'm figuring we'll have you guys for about the first half. So let's talk about some of the interesting things that have gone on here the first week of the season, bro. I know normally, for those of us that are uninitiated, many of you are going to be listening to this show in podcast form. If you would like to listen to the live version later on, it's pretty easy. We send out tweets about it on via Hoopball Tweets, via Hoopball Fantasy, myself, at Dan Besbris, at Aaron Bruski. We try to give updates exactly when this is happening. Brew, most of the time, it'll be on Friday in the middle of the day. That's just when the schedule usually allows. Things were a little bit twisted this week, and we thought it might be kind of fun to do one on a Saturday when everybody's off work. Folks that can kind of experience it for a first time could enjoy the show. Again, scheduling conflicts sort of be darned there. We go through what I like to call sort of like a comprehensive list of all the stories of the week, and then we take questions from the YouTube chat room. But I think this first one we got to do a little bit differently, if just because the storylines are really all about quick reactions at this time of year, right? And quick reactions, Brew, more often than not tend to be bad reactions, but not 100% of the time. So isn't the object for all of us right now at the beginning of the season to try to figure out what's real and what's not?
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's a quick thinking type of a situation. Like, I mean, we'll talk about Karis LeVert for sure, but you want to be on the right side of that evaluation. Because of megaphones, that other sites have, and sort of the hype machine that gets created as these things all happen. We're moving quick, and there's big changes in value depending on if site A thinks this, site B thinks that. The people in your league are going to really just drastically value players differently. So yeah, that's the name of the game. And you're right. Probably about 2/3 of what we see is not actionable at this point in time. I really think we should start calling this a silly season, or like extended preseason or something of that nature. Because watching these games, everybody's like, well, what's going on with the pace? Why are, what is there this big change in the NBA? No, it's that nobody's playing defense. Everybody's turning the ball over. Everybody's, trying to figure out where they're at. And you got guys sitting, and it's just a little bit of a mess. The games are a little hard to watch. And, so our job is to suss all that stuff out, figure out what's fact and fiction.
So what is fact and what is fiction? Where do we even begin? I suppose we can. My hope here, I guess, is that we can cover most of the things, but there's so much during this first week that we probably got to get into the biggest stories and see how much time we have for some of the smaller ones. You mentioned Karis LeVert; he's on the list. We've seen a lot of discussion of Jonathan Isaac going on, one kind of on each side, but they're just. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So, can I? It's tough, right? I probably want to ask you about 30 things on this show, and we don't really have time for that. So how comfortable, Brew, are you with basically like a full show lightning round on what's real and what's not?
Yeah, let's do it, because that's the only way we're going to get through it.
Yep. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We got a bunch of games that happened over the first, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 days of the regular season. I'm just going to look at each and one of those games and bring up a couple things that have jumped out to me, things that I think are remotely interesting, and Brew can tell me if it's real or if it is not. First thing we saw on Tuesday night that jumped out to me, whether or not it's real, Warriors center position. It's looking like it's going to be a total mishmash. A lot of people picked up Damian Jones after one game and then realized that is not something they can probably count on. Is anybody going to separate themselves outside of the main four guys for that club?
Actually, I thought Damian Jones was fine in his second game. I said it in our first show that we did. I don't know how. I can't even remember 5 days ago. Jordan Bell looked fat to me. So
that's right. That was our weekly lineup show. I forgot about that.
So I mean, it's not surprising that he's the odd man out right now. So I think he'll probably play his way into shape, or whatever will need to happen, and then he'll come back into the mix, and it'll be interesting timing, because if he's really this out of shape, or we don't learn of an injury, he could get in shape right around the time as Marcus Cousins is getting back, and maybe he gets back on track at that point in time. I mean, he's got to get in there with a big game quickly, like within the next 1 to 2 games. And I'm looking at it and thinking, man, it's not the craziest thing in the world to drop him. You picked him up thinking you had a top 100 guy if everything worked out moderately well, and that's sliding right now. Yeah, I get the upside; it's totally undeniable, but I don't know that that's working out for him. Maybe he will creep up close to a late round value as the year goes on, but that's a rough thing for his ADP. And because I saw people taking him inside the 8th round. And that's that you want to get a good quality player there, and that's a big zero, that you just pulled in that area. And a lot of owners did it so they get the blocks taken care of. So yeah, no. And then Kevin Looney, I think, actually could be playable if it's a 2-man rotation there between those two guys. I think they might scratch together enough defensive stats to be top 150 guys when it's all said and done.
Barely exciting is what I'm hearing from that. Barely exciting, but something.
I mean, in a league where like you play in a two center league and centers are scarce, like squeezing value out of that position actually comes into play. If your league only plays one center, I don't think you worry about it.
All right, next game on the docket that caught my attention was the first one that went final on Wednesday night. The Nets losing to the Pistons, and then, of course, we've seen a few follow-up games from Brooklyn and one follow-up game from Detroit. For the Nets, some big games out of Jarrett Allen here in the early going, big games out of Karis LeVert, a mishmash of good and bad from D'Angelo Russell, relative consistency from Spencer Dinwiddie. What's worth sorting out with this team? And are there buy low and sell high opportunities with these guys?
We're just talking Nets here, right?
Yeah, just basically the whole damn team. This is one of those ones where it's like there are a bunch of storylines.
We got to touch the Karis LeVert thing because I mean, there was one analysis that basically is like, congratulations if you drafted Karis LeVert. LeVert was going probably like 110 off the top of my head, something like that, and kind of like. I feel like the market is treating him as like the next breakout player, like, top 50 breakout player.
I feel like you're about to say what I tweeted at someone yesterday, which was, listen, he's having a really good start to the year, but this is also a great opportunity to take a guy like a LeVert, who's probably going to settle back into that 75-ish window in a good scenario, and try to flip him for someone who's kind of a bona fide top 50, a guy is locked into that role. Because right now, LeVert owners are looking at him like, hey, this guy could go top 25, and that's one of those things where you have to understand how the law of averages work, and we're not saying that we hate him. That's the part I almost feel like I have to throw in this disclaimer, like when I say this about Giannis.
Yeah.
We're
not anti-LeVert at all.
No, there's an assessment of value here. We have to realize he's not going to average like 25 and 6 all season long. That's just too hard.
There was something the great Steve Alexander taught me early on in my Roto World career, and that was that like a drop of anything will go a really long way. Like, so I don't know. If you get your fan base fired up over a player, if you fire them up and you're thinking top 50, then your fans and your readers are probably going top 30 in their head with what you're saying. I mean, it's going to work in favor of the savvy owner because right now he's shooting 65%.
By the way, I'm bringing a special treat that you can't see because we can't actually see one another while we do this show, but my little boy Asher is making his Fantasy NBA Today video chat live appearance. I don't think he likes it. He's holding a plastic hippo, and he's trying to make a getaway.
This is like one of those pressers at the end of the game where you bring your kids.
That's right. I think my son is cuter than those athletes' kids, so I thought I'd throw him on a show also.
Thank you, Asher, for joining the show.
Next one, he's going to say the following is a hoop ball presentation. You can book it.
Well, yeah, he's going to be a smart cookie with the parents he has.
Yeah, nerd parents.
And,
anyway, sorry.
He'll probably be running this show in 5 years.
So please continue. Net stuff.
But yeah, he's shooting 65%, and like, the Nets are giving him quite a bit of leash right now, and it's possible he keeps that leash, but there's a couple things that strike me is D'Angelo Russell's not going anywhere. Allen Crabbe is still hurt if you looked at the way he was playing tonight. So I think that Crabbe probably plays a little bit more, plays a little bit better. And if D'Angelo Russell's not going to go, Spencer Dinwiddie's a relatively healthy guy. It's going to be really hard for them to just go full bore, Karis LeVert all the time and give him the touches that a lead guard would have. And so what that means is like these early season explosions of 29 points or whatever they were. Those aren't going to be those will be the exceptions and not the rules. Also, what's going to happen when the 65% normalizes and he has a couple 30% shooting nights? What does that do to his standing, within the pecking order of the team? So that's the other issue there. And then his stats set is good in many respects, but then sometimes it's just a little bit lacking. Like he tends to disappear in the money counters just at times. I'm not down on like his stat set is fine to me, but you throw it all into the pot together, and I don't even want to consider his injury history. but I think that evaluation of top 75, if everything works out reasonably well for him, is probably a good one. If you told me D'Angelo Russell was leaving, if they were going to turn the page, I would probably get on top of a top 60, maybe even top 50 type of an evaluation for him. I mean, as a player, he's just, and I think people get excited when they see him play because of his ball handling skills at 6'7". He looks like a really big point guard out there, but he's not going to be guarding ones. He's going to be guarding, twos, and he's going to struggle guarding twos. Like we saw Victor Oladipo blow by him, and he's just he's going to have his struggles. He's going to be exactly what we thought he was going to be. He's going to incrementally improve over last year, and you can see that on offense. He looks great, but I think if you own him, you got to do exactly what you're saying. Find yourself an underperforming top 50 player, try to make the deal, and I bet you can make the deal. Like people literally are talking about him like he's Michael Jordan. And I just like kind of crack it up. It's like he did this 2 years in a row. Like he gets going early, and then he's going to pull back. So if I had to redo my B150, I had him at 120, and I probably put him up at about 90, 80, based on what we've seen.
Here's one I think could be a quick one. Yes or no answer. Does anybody on the Pistons interest you beyond Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond? And I know what you're going to say. Blake Griffin doesn't even really interest you all that much. But beyond those guys, any interest in a Reggie Jackson or a Reggie Bullock at any point this year? That's a no. I'll take that as a no. All right, moving right along. Charlotte Hornets. This was a team that I was very bullish on with the removal of Dwight Howard, and that has worked wonders for Kemba Walker so far, who looks like he's just unreal. He's on another planet so far this season, and that's pretty cool if you have a whole bunch of shares of Kemba on your team. If you don't, the rest of this team has been a little bit of kind of a screwy mishmash to a certain degree, with the prospect of improvement until tonight. It seemed like things got better for the other Hornets tonight. We saw better performances, although we did have that little sort of outburst from Malik Monk back on opening day. But looking at tonight's ball game, this of course being Saturday, you saw sort of the other regular folks do some more stuff. Jeremy Lamb looked better in his time on the floor. Marvin Williams, a member of the Dan Besbris Old Man Squad, with a very Marvin Williams-esque line, aside from missing one free throw. That I'm nitpicking a little bit on that one. And Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who none of us were really talking about, had 7 blocks in this ball game, and that was basically all he did while he was on the floor. Batum dialed it back a little bit. He did play 42 minutes, so it's sort of tough to get on his case. What's your assessment of how things are going to shake out in Charlotte moving forward? Because I know you were very high on Jeremy Lamb. This was a really nice game, 7 money counters in this one. I've been pretty high on Marvin Williams as a guy you could draft at like 150. So this is a nice development. He has 7 blocks, by the way, in his first few games. What can we expect from some of these old and maybe even these young guys going forward?
I mean, you're not going to expect some of these outlier lines like 7 blocks, and Jeremy Lamb's not going to have 3 steals and 2 blocks every night. But, Lamb is funny. He caught a little fade from people early on, and Malik Monk caught the fire. People thought that was going to maybe possibly flip, but I don't understand.
One game, man. That's the magic of the 1 game sample size.
Well, the first week is always like this. I mean, this is just a really easy team to read. Cody Zeller's going to do his thing. Marvin Williams is going to do his thing. Kemba Walker's going to do his thing. Batum is going to be up and down, but he's going to get a lion's share of the minutes up the middle, and it's just really obvious what's going to happen with these guys. I mean, buy into Jeremy Lamb. I'm going to fade Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. He's not going to get enough minutes to, satisfy the nights he doesn't get 7 blocks.
2 questions about the Miami Heat. They're the next team I want to bring up because I'm just going through this thing chronologically for the storylines moving forward. The centers beyond Hassan Whiteside and the Rodney Magruder experience. He's a guy that, frankly, Miami does really like a lot. But there were a lot of other guys kind of breathing down his neck. And then you've got the Olynyk Adebayo contingent sort of waiting on Whiteside to go down with some sort of thing. But through the first couple of games, Whiteside has actually looked moderately spry. So where do you stand on the Heatles this year?
I think Whiteside's going to be healthy until he's not, but he looks really good so far. Olynyk's getting, a little crushed by the various factors of, the depth issues, the he hasn't had a great defense to start the year, so that's worked against him. Bam was playing pretty well in this one. I think the teams are definitely going to go trend smaller, so that'll hurt Olenek early on. He's somebody though that generally you want to buy into because his value can only go up. He's got a nice stat set. Magruder has played well. These numbers are ridiculous: 19 and 10 with 2 steals and a block, 4 threes. Yeah, but I believe it. We've been watching Magruder for a while. He's constantly improved his game. I mean, it wouldn't be shocking to see him emerge, but he's not going to make much hay in fantasy leagues. Tyler Johnson appears to be on the way out finally, which is kind of just interesting. Don't know what's going on there. Derek Jones Jr. had a real good game. Tons of upside there. Phoenix was absolutely stupid for letting him go. And they're fans that try to roast me after I said that. You don't hear much of them anymore. This is a weird outlier game. Josh Richardson's not going to be this bad going forward. 7-3-2. The Heat, they're just too crowded. They need a trade, but I just think they all are exactly what we thought they were at the beginning of the year.
I'm jumping over the Timberwolves because, frankly, I'm just not all that.
You don't want to talk about Derrick Rose's big line?
Fine. What do you think about Derrick Rose?
I don't care.
All right. Well, at least that didn't take very long.
That's your only concern right now, Dan. Hey, to the listeners out there, watch how Dan pivots and says, makes things move. Dan's a mover and shaker.
I'm shaking and I'm moving, and plus, out of the corner of my eye, I just saw the Dodgers clinch the National League.
Oh, so you ain't got nothing to do now?
Yeah, I got nothing going on, man. This is.
Let me get long-winded.
Nah, man. Indiana. That's the next one on my list here. I'm just working my way through the association. First couple of games, blowout win, blowout loss. Not necessarily in that order. I think it was actually in that order. And things were pretty screwy. You saw a lot of people sort of bailing out on Miles Turner hard right out of the chute. You saw a lot of people bailing on Victor Oladipo, on Darren Collison. Everybody was getting bailed on. And even though the team was having these weird... I mean, they beat Memphis by like 20, and then I think they got waxed by Milwaukee in the next one. We saw another blowout, a third blowout, although the minutes were a little bit less screwy in this ball game. Still, it was nice to see sort of the usual suspects do a little bit more in their third game. Are you at all concerned about the depth of the Indiana Pacers, or does this feel like, first week jitters kind of stuff? They're just playing some fully uncompetitive basketball.
Yeah, I think Miles Turner just doesn't know how to impact the basketball game. Like, he just, that extra gear where he's a dominant kind of mental presence on his own team where he demands the ball, he kind of demands to be covered, and really that's why you have the fluctuating stats. He does look like he's in better shape. I tried to inch him up in the rankings to accommodate for that, but people still rated him as last year's Miles Turner in the second round. So we didn't get him anywhere at Hoop Ball, and then getting outplayed by Sabonis to start, you really started to think, okay, here we go again. But they made a big bet on him. That's the one saving grace he has in Indy. They're not going to let that just sort of slide. And I think he won't meet ADP, but I think top 40 is in his future. So that, along with Thad Young, kind of seems like the writing's on the wall for him that he's on his way out. I know that's going to hurt your feelings, but you have plenty of Thaditude to get you through, these tough times.
Yeah, and I think he'll be fine. Honestly, again, they haven't played a competitive fourth quarter yet. So
he'll be better as he gets his legs underneath him. That's absolutely right. But to the point of them, like, there was an article that was written by the team website that team websites can be completely revealing, because team websites, they usually have a marketing guy that sits with, whoever says these are our guys, and basically we want to pump them up. And then there was a story that's like, will Thad Youngs get his minutes cut? It was just such a weird story. I thought, this does look like the beginning of the end for him in Indy, which could mean more minutes for Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis, but we haven't seen that yet. I'm not trying to bag on your guy. I'm not trying to do that, Dan.
I'm crying. You can't see it. Sobbing.
But I think that like they just look solid. They got a good squad, so the depth is a legitimate issue. If you're wondering about like these guys peaking out, Oladipo had 4 steals tonight. That was huge. He looks really good. I mean, you're not going to lose your league because you drafted Victor Oladipo this year, and you can still hit his ADP, I think.
Yeah, and I was actually pretty excited about what Darren Collison was doing midway through the third, and then he didn't get to play the fourth quarter either. The thing about a guy like Darren Collison, too, that I want to remind everybody is you didn't draft him for him to score 20 points a night. You drafted him for him to score, like 13 on 50% shooting for a point guard, and that's basically what he did tonight in fairly uneventful fashion. I think you'd like a couple more assists, but overall, this is like not that atypical of a Darren Collison game. He didn't turn the ball over, and if he plays the fourth quarter, he probably gets 2 to 3 more points, 1 or 2 more assists and a rebound, and then you're looking at like a 15, 3, and 4 with a couple of threes, a steal on 60-something% shooting, and that's a great thing to have over 82 games. He's just not going to be exciting. He's not, as Mark Roberts called him, a high five guy, but I think he's going to be fine also. For me, he's a guy that I'm sitting on. Orlando, since I'm working through this stuff the way the box scores shook out over the last week, I got to talk about Jonathan Isaac because people wanted to lose their minds. 2 very poor games. Well, let's be honest. First 2 were not very good. Saturday, he played better. 2 threes, 2 steals, a block. He still wasn't like the massive mega performer that we were all hoping for. But again, he's a guy you weren't drafting him for him to go for 15 and 10. You were drafting him to hit a couple threes, to go steals and blocks crazy, and not hurt you too many places. And he got a lot closer to that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, what was really weird is so I turned on the Magic game after the Nets game, and I don't see Jonathan Isaac out there at all. And like for a while, for like the entire fourth quarter, it felt like. So I'm like, oh man, Isaac, what's going on with this guy? And I flashed the box score. He's got 28 minutes. And this guy makes the basketball court look so small. He is so rangy, and he really has a good feel for the game. The thing he doesn't have that would keep him, if he had this, then we'd be at a completely different level with this guy, is he doesn't have the pull up and the dribble drive game that demands him hold the ball early in the possession. So he does a lot of standing in the corners. His usage is about as low as it can possibly get. So what you're really talking about is, can he do what he did last year, and how many minutes is he going to get? 28 in a close game tonight. And granted, Jonathan Simmons was out. You wonder about the first 2 games being possibly related to the ankle. You worry about the ankles in general, and you worry about him sort of having too many players that play his positions. But the fact that he can get out there and slide his feet with threes, it feels like they're ready to put him out there. I had his minutes per game projection at 28 and a half. Still had a hard time getting Isaac, even though I had him in the HB6. Like, I would watch Isaac go off the board and just in shock, because there was like no indication that he was going to play a lot, like that much. Really just thinking this is a guy that should fly underneath the radar. But what happened was a couple of websites, put him at the top of their list, and you almost would read their stuff and think, how, if you agree with what you're writing, how can you have him so high? It's like they had him at like 22 minutes per game on the season, 24 minutes per game on the season, and still ranking him that high. And I'm like, man, if he plays those amounts of minutes, he's not going to get there. So why'd you have to do that? Because now I don't own any Jonathan Isaac. I got him in like 2 teams. Because it's like, how do you pick this guy in the 6th round when you've got all these other targets that are better? You're hoping that Isaac could slide, but he doesn't. So it just sucks. but don't drop him. Obviously, pick him up because I really think that he's going to finish where I had him in the B 150, right around the 60 mark. I think.
Well, what about Mo Bamba? I don't know that you and I have actually talked about him much on any shows. The gist I got from talking to some of the Magic insider folks like Philip Rossman Reich on this pod was that they felt like he was going to be wildly inconsistent until they really start to push him like more all-star breaky. Is that the same feeling you're getting?
Yeah, that's exactly how I would have put it. And then also, I'm not 100% convinced they trade Vucevic. I just think that
They'll try, but it's easier said than done,
they'll
right?
try this team lacks scoring, and I bet they get sick of watching Aaron Gordon think he's a point guard. And Gordon had a great game tonight. 7 of 12, 1 3-point attempt. That's where you want this guy to be. You don't want this guy shooting threes. I mean, yeah, he can hit them. He's got a good percentage. And let him shoot the catch and shoot variety all day long.
Hmm.
But this guy, every time he dribbles the basketball, the other team absolutely loves it. And so they're going to deal with that. Isaac's obviously not a playmaker. Fournier is good but not great off the dribble, and DJ Augustine is pretty old, but that's like the extent of their offensive attack. And Vucevic gives them a versatility that they don't have really elsewhere. So I kind of wonder if they will trade him. I'm not to put a bow on it. I'm not buying into Bamba at this time.
Shout out to my old man squad member Evan Fournier for quieting the haters with a 31.63 pointer game. Love to see my old farts. He's again sort of like an honorary member just because nobody was drafting him. But whatever.
He's gonna beat his ADP this year.
Yeah, easy. He was going like around 100 in a lot of leagues. I thought that was freaking nuts. That was like one of the. That's basically how Thad Young got on my list last year, where it was like, I don't understand, why is nobody drafting this guy? Don't we all know he's going to play 30 minutes and steal the ball a whole bunch of times? I had the same feeling about Fournier this year. It was like, everybody's passing this guy, even though he's going to be a featured scorer for a Magic team that really doesn't have other options at that spot, and he's actually a pretty good scorer. So, yeah, I have a lot of Fournier. He just kept falling to me. I wasn't targeting him, but he was always there. I thought, all right, well, it's this or like one of these goofers at the end of the draft that could do almost anything. I'm going to take the guy I know that's going to be pretty good. Anyway, rumbling right along. The New York Knicks, they got weird stuff going on, the New York Knicks do. Enes Kanter, Tim Hardaway Jr. feel like they're locked in right now. Burke, I should say, I have a little bit of a soft spot for Trey Burke. It seems like he's going to get the point guard minutes. And if he does, right?
Guy.
Yeah, so there you go.
I mean, it's really transparent what's going on over there. So is a full speed Trey Burke? What is he? And I think he's a lot like he was in Utah. He's gonna have low field goal percentage, and that's the crazy thing when he got back into the league and he made changes in his life. So good congrats to him. He had this incredible field goal percentage, and it's not sustainable. So a lot of people thought, well, what is Trey Burke? Is he more of a high percentage guy? No, he's just gonna go out there. He's gonna get you your assists. He's gonna have guard stats, and I kind of think you could probably pencil him into top 100 to 125 value in 8 cat leagues right now. And that'll be where he finishes. And that's good. That's creeping up on mid round value. And for a guy that in like a point guard, 3-headed monster, he's clearly moved everybody out of the way, I think. And Ntilikina is needed at small forward now. And Knox going down tonight, it seems like he could miss some time. So that's just opening it up more for Burke to continue to get these big minutes. I think he actually joins that stable crew, that you had just mentioned.
Nice.
And the rest of them are a total mess.
Mess.
What is this Mario Hezonja thing? He had 10 minutes at halftime, and Knox goes down, and I'm like, well, 2 points, 2 rebounds. That obviously sucks, but maybe he turns it up for the second half. He didn't play. Something's weird there, and I bet he's pissed because he turned down the Kings offer for playing time. And I bet he didn't trust what was going on with coaching and the GM situation there. So,
So can we move
think
on?
he was getting? Did he think he was getting minutes, and now he's not getting them?
I'm moving on. I need to do something with that roster slot, so I'm not going to wait on Hazonia right now.
Well, this is classic Hazonia as well. Like he goes through ups and downs, and did they sell him a bill of goods? It wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility that they sold him a bill of goods, and they're just moving on because the teams do that, and that's why players are always trying to get more and more value out of their contracts, including promises on the playing time. Is he's on a 1-year deal, so they don't care what they do with him. It's really intriguing because this team sucks, and he's purportedly good. And he played 10 minutes tonight. 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
That's not enough to show you suck. You need at least 15 minutes to show you suck.
That's the cutoff. Don't they know that's the cutoff? I'm jumping over the Chicago
I don't
Bulls,
mind
by the way.
if people jump off the Hazonia valuation. Like,
yeah, there's too much interesting stuff going on right now.
this
I feel
time
like
of year, yeah. I mean, what's Hazonia's upside? Top 75 in the best case scenario? Like,
yeah, let's go hunting. Let's go hunting, man.
Go hunt, grip and rip.
That's right. Let's go hunting. Grab the big game hunting stick or whatever. Grab the boomstick and let's go big game hunting. I'm going to jump over the Bulls because they're just not healthy right now, and I don't feel like we should waste a ton of time digging into it yet. I think that'll be on the...
Thank you, Chris Dunn, for taking... it's personal
Unreal.
absence, so it's probably something very serious. I should probably not joke around. But,
I think he had a kid.
Man, the first week sucks because like all this stuff always happens. Like it was after starting lineup time, so there's the Dunn and the Rondé Hollis Jefferson stuff is like all over my lineups.
Yeah, the Chris Dunn thing is pretty crummy. I've got him in a couple of spots too. I think it's
I
think it's a child.
Funny. I completely forgot. Sorry, guys, I'm losing my mind. Like, wait till Rondé Hollis Jefferson starts playing in Brooklyn. That's gonna take a lot of touches away from a lot of guys. Like, he's a ball magnet, and 27, 28 minutes of that guy, that's gonna take a chunk out of everybody's usage.
I'm trying to remember. I should have written this down. This is a classic Dan Besbris rookie mistake. I can't believe it. I got to write down the teams we've talked about because I think I'm going to end up asking you about the same team twice. There's so many things that freaking happened this first week. But as we continue to mosey our way through the list of teams that have and have not played, the Memphis Grizzlies pop up on the list, largely because of two gentlemen, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson off to a very slow start. JJJ off to a better start, and a start that got better when JaMychal Green went down seemingly for a while, which surprised me.
4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, usually facial things don't take that long unless it's a Bobby Portis punch, but I mean, does this really open the door for Jaren Jackson Jr.? Like, this is what everybody wanted secretly, is for JaMychal Green to not exist, and now he doesn't.
I mean, I felt like we were so low on Jaren Jackson, and he was still really, really high, and he could have been in the HP6 if we really got aggressive. And so I kind of feel a little bit of missed opportunity there. But,
yeah, but you can't predict this type of injury also.
No, but JaMychal Green's had injury issues for a while. You're looking at Marc Gasol, and he's long in the tooth, and those are the only two guys that can keep him off the floor. And it's debatable whether JaMychal Green ever had a chance. So, I mean, what I didn't want to do was overdo it, and that, we'll see how the valuation works out. He's looked great so far. It's going to be a great, great situation for anybody that drafted him. He should be owned in all leagues. No questions asked. And here's the thing. Here's what he gets out of this. He now gets the ramp that he needs to really put JaMychal Green away. And that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to finish inside the top 50.
Well, this is quite an early door. I know Adrian Benjamin's over here at Hoopball is going to be pretty stoked, and I'm going to probably have to buy him a Coke because this is way earlier than I thought he was going to be going crazy.
I think he might switch that up to something else.
I might have to buy him a vodka or a rum and Coke.
We need to do an LA Hoopball party.
Yeah, we do. We got all these left coasters over here. We got more people on Pacific time than most organizations, which is great for me because I list everything in Pacific time and you guys don't get confused when I do it. The Atlanta Hawks is not a team I really felt like we needed to hang out on too much this early.
Trae Young is putting up numbers so far.
Yeah. All
I'm
right.
waiting for Jeremy Lin to get healthy and
Yeah. Yeah.
to slow that down a little bit. Also, this phenomena of there are players and teams that care right now, and there are players and teams that don't care right now.
Yeah.
So
Yikes.
much about this week is jacked up. Like, and that's the fact and the fiction. You look at Jaren Jackson, and you kind of already seen the skill set. This is an easy call. Like, you're just moving a player out, unless coach wants to send a message. That's it. That's the only reason he stays off the floor. This other stuff like, player X scores 30 points and shooting 65%. Come on, this is first week stuff.
Yeah, that 60% doesn't usually last all that long. I'm not.
No,
I'm not. I don't call myself an expert, but
65% of the time, it doesn't happen all the time.
yeah, thank you, Yogi Berra over there. Couple more teams to cover, and then I want to take a brief break to do some promo stuff in the middle of the show. The Cleveland Cavaliers. This was a team that I was really interested in at the start of this year because it seemed like there was a crap ton of extra fantasy goodies available beyond Kevin Love. He was sort of the only guy that was locked in on this team. I figured George Hill would play relatively well, and he's gotten off to an okay start. He got sort of shut down in their last ball game. Rodney Hood, not as good as people were hoping, I think. Jordan Clarkson has been basically taking his role off the bench. Colin Sexton isn't doing very much, as I think many of us predicted. Larry Nance Jr. hasn't even played yet this year, which is obviously going to change things in the front court a little bit. But Jetty Osman has been off to a really nice start. What do you make of that?
I mean, I want to know if he can hit his free throws, and I want to know if he can keep up with the money counters. I think is those are the two chief concerns I have. When these games get garbagey, those numbers tend to increase because like ball gets kicked around, and the next thing you know, like somebody's just been standing wide open in the corner for a three, and that doesn't happen when games are tight as much. Also, steals and blocks. If guys are just like getting theirs, and it's a garbage time environment, they're going to try that little flip shot that they haven't worked on that much, and that's how you get 7 blocks out of MKG. By the way, stuff like that happening. So I don't know if I'm buying fully into Osmania, but I
I
mean,
can't believe I hadn't heard that before. I really need to get back on my game. I love dad
well,
jokes.
writing the Daily Dish again, so I got to come up with pithy things to say. If you guys interested?
That was some wonderful dad humor. That's so right up my alley right now. Oh,
Man,
there's
you know what?
Gumshoe, by the
Five
way.
years from now, Dan, we're gonna be so old. It's gonna be like, just get these guys off our screen and bring these two young, you know, whatever you want to call them. I was gonna say whippersnappers, and then I was like, oh,
I,
that's even worse.
I think the fans are being treated to almost my entire family. Gumshoe is doing her weird shoulder lurking on today's show as well.
Oh, good, good. The Chris, what was it? It was Chris Bosh that did the lurking always.
Yeah, I got my dog as Chris Bosh. She was just hanging out in the background there for a minute. Hopefully, everybody got a chance to see that. I think they just got the Osmania joke. There's a 1 minute delay on this stuff. Let me see if I can
Well,
find.
but look, he's a healthy guy. He's gonna get a lot of minutes. It makes sense that he can hit a late round value. Can he be more than that, though, is the question? Because I think there will be inconsistency. If he's a late round guy with inconsistency, he's going to be hard to roster. But they don't have any depth. I thought it was really interesting they didn't play David Nwaba, and I don't know why that is. Like, is this a contract thing? Like, the guy doesn't make a lot of money, so we're going to play the other guys. And they kind of have their favorites there in Cleveland, and it's kind of a mess there. I I think they've had Osman on they're high on their list for a while, so that helps them out. I mean, I didn't draft him anywhere. I would call him a late round value right now, and I'd definitely bump him up to B 150. Just kind of seeing that he's taken the opportunity and run with it early.
All right, I got to ask you about a new member of the Dan Besbris Old Man Squad, and that is Danny Green. Danny Green. We've been down this road a million times, and yet somehow
you do that, Dan Besbris? Why you do that?
this one feels a little bit different to me. I mean,
Have you seen his box score tonight?
I know it was very Danny Green-esque, but he still played 31 minutes. and he went 1 for 9. So, it was like a shooting night kind of
Danny
thing.
Green's gonna do what Danny Green does. He's a 9 cat top 100 to top 120 guy, maybe top 80.
I think he's
Like
going top 80 this year. I think he's got a little more wiggle room. They're playing him more. He's getting more shots most of the time. I think he's really looked good so far this season. He looks freed from the shackles of the Popovich
I'm glad
leash.
you brought that team up. They look really good.
Yeah,
And I think Kawhi Leonard will win MVP. Like,
he didn't even play.
No, I know.
He
There was 3 games in 4 nights. Like, that's exactly why he didn't play. I don't know if the rest management thing will be aggressive as it seems. It's like, oh, here we go again. But they're good, man. And they got so many easy fantasy assets. Like, I got Delon Wright, Fred VanVleet, and Pascal Siakam in so many drafts. And it's so simple with these guys. They're all going to be late round values. And then there's going to be nights where they're better. And it's all going to aggregate in top 100, top 80, top 120 value. And heaven forbid somebody goes down. They just go up from there. Siakam had a 10 and 10 with a 111 tonight, with like 2 or 3 assists.
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
an interesting one. His offense looks a little bit better this year, which it needed to be because he had no offensive game last season.
He's the key to their front court defense. Like, Ibaka is good when he gets 5 days rest. And, JV can do what JV does against the big guys, but everybody else he's screwed against. Siakam can get in there and play against bigs. He can play against 3s, 4s. And especially as they get ready for the playoffs, I think that that's going to become abundantly clear to Nick Nurse. And what he'll probably do, if I had to guess, is he'll cut back on Serge Ibaka's minutes a little bit, up Pascal to 25. Is it Pascal or Pascal?
I believe it's Pascal Siakam.
The math guy, right?
Pascal's. I believe that's a unit. It's a unit of energy.
Yeah.
Or
I wonder if he was named
pressure.
after that guy.
It's spelled differently. This one with a K, and I believe the scientist was with a C. As I adjust my bifocals.
No, he's with a C. He's with a C.
Is Pascal Siakam with a C? I thought. Well, maybe it is because the Siakam has the K. All right. Well, maybe could be. I don't know.
That's a unit of energy, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes,
that'd
it
be
is.
cool if that's why he was named that.
Then I would want to own him on more of my fantasy teams. Nerd alert! Sound the nerd alarm.
This is what happens when me and Dan party.
Yeah. We'd make jokes like Osmania and talk about units of energy. I got two.
Come on, Professor.
I got 2 more teams I want to ask you about. I have to, and then we'll get to some questions. We might not get to all of them, guys. Again, there's so many topics to cover this opening week, but we'll do our best. And those 2 teams are the Los Angeles Clippers of Anaheim and the Sacramento Kings. I have to do it because I honestly have no feel for that team at all. Bagley looked better in their second game.
Honestly, like,
what the hell's going on with this team?
Okay, like Bagley. First of all, Anthony Davis is an overrated defender. Like, let's get that out of the way. That's going to piss a lot of people off, by the way.
Hot Take City.
Well, I mean, he does so many great things, but people think that he doesn't take plays off and that he doesn't have lateral quickness and explosion deficiencies. He does. He doesn't get up the way he used to. He's a bigger guy. He's put on a lot of muscle. Like, there's certain play types that he can't get to. One of them is when the young, bouncy Marvin Bagley comes kind of sort of dribbling at him and, like in a rush move and does a big quick spin and then just sort of like leaps over the top of him. Like, Anthony Davis is like, I don't care, kid. If you want to do that,
I got no
do
time.
it.
I got no time for that.
Like, if it was the playoffs, he'd probably body him up and push him away and not give him that. But like, so he had a couple of those, where It was a nice move, knock yourself out. But man, he struggled on defense. It's to the point where like it's almost a guaranteed foul when he's defending somebody. If the team wants to go in there and play against him, they know they can get a foul called just on body position in the post. Like, or the rotation's nowhere close. So no, Bagley didn't have a good game, guys. Bagley had a few nice plays.
Yeah, but that's something in Sacramento. Things are
Well, it's
such
the
a
marketing department. You got Toronto that goes out and puts the marketing of, like that was just amazing marketing. Like they put every deficiency that they had on the film and talked about it in a beautiful 3-minute video. You know, anytime Marvin Bagley does anything good, you're gonna hear like 5 to 10 people go lose their what, and that's going to pump up Bagley's value. Now, look, Bagley's going to get a lot of opportunity. I mean, they're letting him rap to team employees as a part of, the recruiting process, and making him feel like he's at home. Part like they want him to succeed, rightfully so. They picked him second over Luka Doncic, and the questions are: can he hit free throws, and what is he going to give you in the defensive stat categories? If these games continue to remain 140, 150 point games, where that's the opposing team's score.
pretty
There
crazy.
could be garbage time stats that he lucks into. He's not like a proficient shot blocker. He can get blocks. Steals can come his way. He hasn't proven to be the greatest in those areas. So I think he'll be inconsistent overall. Is he a late round guy? I probably put him at about a 25% chance of that. It'll be easier for him as the year goes on because I think he will gain experience. Refs stop calling as many fouls on him. That's just one piece of the Kings.
I just wanted to point out that JaVale McGee has 4 blocks at halftime tonight for the Lakers. This is it's the craziest thing.
Look, McGee.
Welcome to the new
He's
NBA.
He's a legit fantasy guy. He's at least a late rounder.
But I just wanted to point that out because it's hilarious.
Well,
I went on the Clippers. What's that?
To wrap up on the Kings, De'Aaron Fox looks like he is going to get the car keys. I just want to see what happens when Zach Randolph wants to play.
Ugh, I don't.
Because Zach Randolph gets on the court, it ruins everything that they're doing. And same with Kosta Koufos. Like those two guys will screw everything up. And Willie Cauley-Stein looks good, but of course, if he's going to be an offensive guy, not a defensive stat guy, his defense has improved a little bit in the last couple games. He's not going to have value. All the other bigs are pretty much hands off. Harry Giles has got worse fouling issues than Marvin Bagley does. I don't think he can put it all together to be consistent enough for owners this year. The Buddy Hield thing is actually working out, but here's what happens if the bigs come back and play. The whole style of the team goes away from something that Buddy Hield can be very successful in to a style that's going to make him be very good every night before, because if he's not, it's going to look really bad. He's going to press. Dave Yeager's going to bench him, and you don't have Bogdanovich in the equation right now. That's going to make it more difficult for these guys to get fed. But if they stay this team that can't play defense, that's this small run and gun team, you could be looking at like they have the fastest pace in the league because these are garbage time events. So the rule of no Kings allowed.
No Kings allowed.
I think it's off the table, man. Like,
yeah, there's a little bit more consistency just in terms of the minutes so far.
What if they really have turned the page on Zach Randolph?
That would be magical. That would be one very large step back to.
Like I wrote in a blurb or in the dish that I think it adds 2 to 3 rounds of value to every player.
Just any kind of feel for me would be enough to take my No Kings Allowed sign down. I would love to take that sign down. I'm very tired of doing a bad impersonation of the Peanuts the No Dogs Allowed thing. And we're seeing right now, enough minutes for Willie Cauley-Stein, enough minutes for De'Aaron Fox. Their guys are hitting the 30-minute mark that aren't the crusty old men of last year. So they're moving towards it. I will give them that. And I am watching their box scores this year. Whereas last season, there were stretches where I was like, oh, the Kings, I don't care. I'm going to look at the next one. This time I am actually looking at it. So quickly here on the Clippers, before we go lightning round on some questions, here is I'm going to give my own up and down assessment of a few guys, and then let's see if they match, because feel free to obviously disagree with me on this. Boban for me is a thumbs down. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a thumbs down. Avery Bradley is a thumbs down. I don't think he's going to end up doing enough. I am still a thumbs up on Patrick Beverley. I think he's going to be that sort of weird stats from the point guard spot. And again, you're not expecting a guy to score 12 to 15 points a game. You want like 9 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, a block, 1 or 2 3-pointers, and then you feel pretty good about a guy that you drafted with your 165th pick. Are you thumbs up or thumbs down? Are you in concert with me? Are we
I'm
in
thumbs
disagreement?
up with Pat Bev.
Okay.
I mean,
are you
I'm
thumbs
not
down on
gonna-
all the other guys also?
Yeah, I'm thumbs down on all those dudes too.
Okay. All right, well, then
Even
you say.
Boban.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, it's so much fun to watch. But it's the Denver thing. It's every time they play Denver, he goes completely
Well, they
bananas.
played in the next one. They had decent numbers, but
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
actually
we're
played-
talking like, can they keep that up for 70 games? It's
Nope.
no,
No.
I don't think so.
No. All right, we're going lightning round on the questions because it is midnight on the East Coast right now, and everybody's starting to tail off to bed. So we're going to do our best here because I have copied and pasted them all into a Word document. I'm going to try to read them as we go. Brew, if you finish an answer and I don't start talking, that's probably because I was trying to figure out where the next question was. Then you can just say, hey, Dan, Earth to Dan. Like, you can Ben Stein Bueller me to find out if I'm in the classroom. Jim Collins. So here's the thing. I also want to put this disclaimer out there. Lost a connection to YouTube at some point during the middle of the day. So if there were questions between like 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., I probably lost most of those. My humblest apologies.
What we could do is open up maybe like a forum.
That's
for
not a
that.
bad idea. We'll get a forum thread going for all Sunday.
Worth mentioning, the forums are off the chain. Like,
Oh my God.
so much stuff is happening in those forums. It's like,
I'm so glad Chef finally gets a break.
shit. That was maybe a record. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a thread that long.
Yeah, I think that
it
probably was.
570 posts or something. I
think it was more than that. I'll look it up during the next time I ask you a question. Hey, before we get to the questions, I want to remind everybody we got the in-season premium membership for sale at Hoopball right now. You can use the coupon code Haymaker to get $3 off that bad boy. Brew, is it? At some
It's
point,
on sale for $5 through the end of the weekend, and
There you go.
probably through Monday too. So you get 5 plus 3 is 8. So there you go.
yeah, Brew's so damn
I
busy
can't do
that
the
he
math,
forgets.
but there you go.
You guys should be so thankful that Bruski is so busy because he just runs out of time to turn coupon codes off on the back end. So,
Dude, that happened. There were at least like 10, 15, 20 people the other day who got some absurd discount because of something I screwed up on.
don't tell the people what it was, or they're gonna wonder what happened.
Well,
User error. That's fine. Hey, this is like when you get a test back in high school or college and they
we're
misgrade
doing
it.
so much stuff over here, man.
It's
like
nuts.
it's fascinating to be a part of. With the conversation I had today with some of the guys alone and some of the plans that we have. It's just beautiful. I do need to be cloned, or we do need to adopt 48-hour days.
I would like to try cloning you.
But
I would like to try cloning you and see how that goes. Just scientifically, it would be sort of an interesting experiment. As long as we're talking about Pascals on today's show, we can talk about genetic engineering.
down for, like, if there's some science out there that wants to imprint or implant some chip in my head that like automatically reads the Twitter, or
I was wondering what this chip was going to do. For a while, I thought it might be like a Cool Ranch Dorito.
we're gonna install a Cool Ranch Dorito in your head, Brew. We're gonna see what happens.
See what happens. Scientifically, it's still interesting. Go to hoop-ball.com, click on Premium, choose Go Premium, and select the in-season premium membership. Again, the coupon code is Haymaker. Get that
Before
full
we get to
season
Lightyear,
pass.
can we talk about the dumbest thing that happened to me this week?
I would love to hear the dumbest thing that happened.
No,
to
you wouldn't, because you want to rush me off the air.
No,
You
I
want
want
to
to
play the
bed.
awards show music. No, like I had to argue with stupid Jazz fans about Jay Crowder.
Well, what was the argument? I want to know which side I should come down on. I don't get yelled at.
He looked old and couldn't get to a spot, and he was getting beat on every play. And it was like, man, Jay Crowder's really getting beat up here. And this stupid Jazz account had to try to tell me that he had 7 points and 2 rebounds, and that was the clear proof that Jay Crowder wasn't getting beat up. I'm like a Jay Crowder fan too.
People
Like,
do
what is
not
this?
like. People don't like to hear things that flies in
No,
the
I
face
just
of
think
what.
if you have a team account, just try to not have that guy running it.
This is Okay, so here's one of the other
This is the
side of it.
dumbest
Like,
thing that I dealt with all week. I don't know why I thought of that.
you got in fights with Phoenix people, but their team was legitimately bad. So I don't know why they were fighting with you on it. At least the Jazz are pretty good.
No, is what happens is you get these stupid team accounts that in the Jazz's or in the Suns case, it wasn't like there was like probably I think like two guys that work with team accounts that tried to like dig in against a statement that I made about the Suns, which was about Derek Jones Jr. by the way, like classic Suns doing stupid stuff, and these guys stand up for him. So then you get like 100 of the cronies, you know, just talking mad trash, and you're like you can mute these guys, you could, but they just keep coming onto your timeline, and you just it's like even no matter what, if you're just like all zen about it and you're just like, oh, I don't notice that, I don't notice that, you still notice it.
Yeah, blinders, brew. We got to get you blinders like a stallion. You're our racehorse here. We got to get you blinders. So hey, while people are using that coupon code Haymaker for the in-season premium pass, if you have a moment to please, this is my bended knee segment of the podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast at Fantasy NBA Today, or subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We have these. You're gonna go on bended knee every time. You need to sing that song, Dan.
Oh, I sang a bar of Reunited when Adrian came on the pod, and it didn't go well. So no, 9. I'm not gonna. I'm no more singing.
Bended knee. Come on, Dan.
Now, so do it for Brew because he's willing to sing, and what small measure of dignity I have left, I'm holding on to here, grasping with all of my tiny little might. You ready to get into the lightning round hot seat? Yeah, it's after midnight on the East Coast. Thanks, by the way, for those of you sticking out for the thrilling conclusion here. I'm going to do what I can here. Danny Green or Jetty Osman, if you had to pick between the two of them, rest of season.
Give me the Jetty.
Jonas Valanciunas, still as confident as you were a couple weeks ago?
Oh, yeah. Tonight's game was evidence of that.
What is your rest of season outlook on the old guard of point guards in new homes? Rajon Rondo versus Lonzo Ball, George Hill versus Colin Sexton. Any of those four guys useful the rest of the way?
Or are we talking the old versus new guys in Cleveland and LA?
Basically, yeah.
I think the old guys actually. Like, I think, yeah, I don't have Rondo ranked higher than Lonzo Ball, but
I think both actually in LA. I actually like both of those guys.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be room for both of them. I mean, Rondo's only good for like 27 minutes a game anyway, at best, I think, before he starts to break down. I think they're going to rely on the veterans early. And I think that's where I'm going with this is it's like there's so much buzz around the young guys that the valuations are tipped in favor of the old guys. You know, right now they're undervalued and the young guys are overvalued.
I agree.
Obviously, that pendulum swings, you know, at least by like the halfway mark of the season.
Let's see. What do we got next on the list? Oh, questions. Trying to find the next one. Is James Johnson worth adding while he's working his way back from injury?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the fact that he's still injured is really not good. You know, he's also pretty up there in age, and he's I think the injury situation just isn't going to work out for him, but I still think he's worth owning. I think he could be an easy top 125 guy. And then if somehow, you know, lightning strikes, he has that stat set. So there is a little upside. I'm not banking on that though.
Jakob Poeltl, is he worth owning anywhere?
Let me sneak a peek at tonight's line. Just gotta inform my analysis.
San Antone, Jakob Poeltl tonight, 13 minutes, no points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists as of right now. Game is not quite over, but basically it's over.
What did Gasol get? 17?
Yeah, neither one of them did all that much. Aldridge. Aldridge
Portland trend's a little smaller. I don't know. Poeltl's probably getting ingratiated to the Spurs way.
I'm out on him, by the way.
Him,
yeah, I'm out on him.
But man, he's got a really nice stat set, and that kind of player in the San Antonio system, like, don't lose track of him. I'll leave it that way.
Put a little star on him on Yahoo so you can see his games every once in a while.
Exactly.
Cody Zeller, Willie Hernan Gomez. Does anybody take control fully, or is this going to be
Zeller?
Zeller, okay.
Zeller until he gets hurt.
Which is true. He usually does every 3 weeks. Let's see here. Are you dropping any of the following 4 players? Thad Young, Spencer Dinwiddie, Slow-Mo, or Brook Lopez?
I mean, maybe Thad and maybe Lopez.
Yeah, Lopez is my first to go.
Milwaukee tonight because he and Henson, your boy Henson.
I know. Where the hell did that come from?
He's alive, man.
Son of a bitch is doing it a year too late for me.
Well, I think the key there is they kind of got out of the Thon Maker business, and that makes it more interesting. And they also got rid of the other Zeller, and so they became almost like serviceable as a big man tandem. Lopez can get his numbers in 25 minutes, and so can Henson. So maybe they've got sneaky tandem value there. But yeah, that I would consider Brook Lopez and Thad Young in your shallow league where these players are considered, potential drop guys. Those are my 2.
Fred VanVleet, is he must own in 12 teamers?
I think so. I mean, somebody when to be clear about definitions, must own means somebody in the league needs to own him, and so yeah. The difference there would be must add.
Let's see.
He's
here.
must own.
Someone said I was looking forward to the conspiracy theory as to how Kelly Olynyk is still a hold. You're getting razzed right now.
I want to know who dare razz
I like that one.
The successful B1 or probably HB6 guy from last year.
This was John Proudfoot. We're calling you out, buddy.
Proudfoot, watch out, man. You just watch out. I got my eye on you.
I love it. I love when somebody gives Brew a little poke in the side. Philip Carrier says, I actually dropped Olynyk and picked up James Johnson. He's got battling heat on his roster, Brew. Which of those 2 guys do you like more?
Look, Kelly Olynyk's good. Like that every stage of play throughout the summer and, into the preseason, he is what he is. Now, is he what the Heat want right now? No. I would want Olynyk because we've seen what James Johnson can do at 27 minutes per game last year. And really the year before that as well. He was really good, but still, like, was he, knocking down the doors? No. Olynyk, if he just does what he did last year, is an easy top 80 guy. So to me, take him. He's healthy-ish. I mean, he's got the shoulder issues from a couple years back, but yeah,
all right, here's
Olynyk or James Johnson.
4
Come
players.
on, Proudfoot.
This was a different guy, by the way. Kevin Knox just got hurt for a couple of weeks. Not that he was really worth using anyway. James Johnson, Allen Crabbe, Derek Favors. Those 4 players. Who do you like the most? Who do you like the least?
You said James Johnson, Allen Crabbe,
Derek Favors, and Kevin Knox.
Oh, James Johnson, Derek Favors, Allen Crabbe. It's probably like Favors or Crabbe.
The most?
I mean, I'm really concerned about James Johnson. Obviously, if you can't start the season on time and you're trying to compete for minutes, like, that's not a great sign. Typically players want to get in there early and establish their roles. So that means he's still hurt. And so that's the worry there. Favors is going to probably not be as good as last year. He is in a contract season. That helps. But I just have always faded Favors. Crabbe stuck, playing 28, 29 minutes a game. It's either Favors or Crabbe, though.
We already talked about Derrick Rose. We already talked about Rodney McGruder.
We didn't talk about Derrick Rose.
That's true. That's true. We didn't and did not talk about Derrick Rose simultaneously. Trey Lyles has been less than stellar here right out of the chute. Is he locked into this right now?
Oh, I think I haven't got the update because we've been on the show for Will Barton stuff.
Brutal game. Brutal. 2 points, 3 rebounds, 6 turnovers.
Who? Lyles?
Yeah. Can you believe that? That almost
that's
doesn't.
Why he didn't produce. He had 6 turnovers. That game was sloppy.
Yeah, but man, if you can't get stats against Phoenix, that's a rough one.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna need him to score though. I mean maybe not. I don't know. I mean they obviously scoring is their thing, but like their bench is really not good. Like
No, this was mostly starters tonight.
I think I've never been a Trey Lyles guy. You know that.
Yeah, I know. I know. It was
I
weird
just
when you
think
told
that
me you did kind of like him.
he's a necessary component of what they're doing, and he's played better than whatever happened tonight. Um, I just these early season games against a team like the Suns, like I watched that game and thought, my God, please end this game right now.
Just make the
It
bad
is
man
so
stop.
hard to watch bad basketball in early October or mid October.
Reggie Bullock is the other name in this question from Kevin. What are your thoughts? He finally got in there, got his game one out of the way. Actually, was okay.
I think he's
Um,
gonna do what he did. I think he's a legit shooter, and like he's just gonna do what he did last year.
yeah, scoring effectively, which is basically what it is. I mean, you need that. Worth picking up, I suppose. A lot of questions came into the chat room right when the Dodgers won, and there's a discussion about whether there were fireworks or gunshots near our boy Beans' pad in Los Angeles. I hope that everybody is okay. Who benefits the most from Will Barton's injury while we're on Denver?
I think it's Lyles. I think that it raises his floor and his table, and it like right up the middle. They are like I thought to myself, he's the one guy they can't afford to lose this year. And just yeah, you could play small, try to make Gary Harris a small forward. That doesn't really add up in my opinion. Malik Beasley is I've liked him as a player, but I don't know that he's ready for big minutes. Wancho kind of, he put on some muscle weight, I think. Um, he had a decent but not great preseason. You saw a lot of stuff where like Michael Malone probably wanted to kill the guy, even though it was slightly effective, like just forcing shots left and right. Uh, he would be the guy that you would think could slide in. I don't think that Michael Malone wants to do that. I think Trey Lyles, after a 2.3 rebounds, 6 turnover game or whatever it was, he's the pickup. Hard to say with a straight face after that line.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a late round guy. So that we have, I don't know what the severity of the Barton thing is. If you had Barton out for 6 weeks, you know, if you knew that in the preseason, Trey Lyles would have been going like between 90 and 110.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably true. Is Markelle Fultz a fantasy liability now? Poor field goal percent doesn't offer much help. Is he droppable or too soon? I guess my question for you, Brew, is now? Wasn't he always kind of a fantasy liability?
First of all, I was glad to hear that somebody reported out of Philly. I think it was Keith Pompey, who on his podcast said he didn't think that the hitches in his shot were worked out. This is classic, terrible NBA analysis that you get courtesy of Twitter.com. Like, he was making shots in the preseason and he had 4 different hitches in his shot, and people were like, "Oh, he's cured."
Yeah, because nobody's guarding him.
Well, even like, yeah, nobody's guarding him, but like, still, like a guy that's like got 4 hitches in his shot. Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? And the fact tonight they closed with T.J. McConnell in a close game lets where they're at with that. Ben Simmons was out most of the game. Like,
Yeah, that's rough. Could
he
you
had
drop
5
him?
fouls, so that's
I don't think I
obviously
could.
going to hinder him. But
I don't think I could drop him if I drafted him, though. It feels too soon to just punt a guy you probably wasted a decent pick on.
yeah, I think you can drop him.
Interesting.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't like. I can conjure these scenarios where JJ Redick gets hurt, like that. He's kind of like the Will Barton of this team. If JJ Redick gets hurt, like all bets are off for them. They need his outside shooting and his ability to pull from any spot on the floor. They don't have that anywhere. Maybe like Landry Shamet or whatever his name is. Like, that's the only guy that they have that can do it.
Like, I just won my game of squares, by the way. Landry Shamet, that bingo. The hoopball guys mentioned Landry Shamet, and now I won a free meal at the hometown.
A free hoopball T-shirt.
Yeah, a free meal at the hometown buffet. Actually, I think is what they're giving away on this one. Did anybody see if Dan's bed was made? It's not. I've pointed the camera above it. I've outsmarted you. You can't see my bed. You can only see my lovely face.
I think that team might have won the NFBKC championship.
I think I need 10%.
I haven't looked, but
Just saying.
Just judging by subscribership.
I think I earned a share, at least a steak dinner or something. Is it possible to draft the Hoop Ball 6 in a fantasy draft, and by having the most, you win a championship? I think that's sort of the point, right?
It's possible.
Yeah. Would you? This is it's a question that came from our own account, but I believe it's Adrian logged in as Hoop Ball. Would you trade Karl Anthony Towns for Steph Curry? Who would you prefer to have?
I think I had Cat higher than him in 9 Cat off the top of my head.
And Steph and 8 Cat?
Yeah, I had Steph at 3 and 8 Cat.
Would you sell high on Kemba Walker and Nico Mirotic right now? I guess it depends on what you'd got back.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Nico got a little abused on defense in that game, but now that I love that team. I love that front court. That they complement each other. They're gonna get the right amount of minutes. They're gonna get all sorts of touches. It's gonna be great for all the. Randall will be good, not in relation to his ADP, but he'll be good. Anthony Davis will be good. Yeah, that's all good. What was the other one?
Kemba Walker was the other one.
Like if anybody's valuing him higher than top 20, they're doing it wrong. So I don't know what we're getting out of it.
We are
getting Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I guess that's what you're gunning for, right? You try to go from end of second round to beginning of second round. That's the best you can hope for.
If you could get Chris Middleton out of it, I'd be all on board for that.
Trevor Ariza or Jeremy Lamb, rest of season 9 Cat.
I saw Trevor Ariza look off Ryan Anderson wide open in the corner so he could get his earlier.
I love it.
It was like, I've seen him do it a little bit already. Like, I'm in Phoenix. I got paid. It doesn't matter that I'm fat. I'm going to shoot.
Hey, can we? Oh, my God. Dude, I know when we did our show, you said that John Wall looked fat, but I watched him today for the first time live.
Well, I never said John Wall looked fat.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
I said Jordan Bell looked fat.
I thought you said John Wall looked fat. No, you said he went partying. That's right. You said John Wall.
He was probable with migraines tonight.
Dude, he looks like Baron Davis. It's crazy. Like his whole body's changed.
All joking aside, I don't know enough, but the pictures.
Something's weird.
I've seen a number of interviews where I've looked and I've thought that dude looks hung over.
Yeah, he looks a mess. Anyway, sorry.
It sucks because we're in the business of analysis, and sometimes this can really. People, if they want to act like drinking in the NBA is not a thing, I can guarantee you, drinking in the NBA is it's probably worth a big story by somebody, because I think that in the NBA, just the nature of playing games at night, needing to wind down, being on the road, not talking about the clubs as much. I'm talking like just that after game experience. I think that a lot of beers are consumed, and I know in the media they are, and so this is like a part of the culture. And his answers to media about whether he thought he was partying too much, he said, "I'm a grown ass man. I'll do what I want." He didn't even
That's the Eric Cartman response.
He didn't even pretend that he shouldn't be doing that. He was like, I got it. And then I thought to myself, and this is why I had Wall rated higher than a lot of people. I mean, Wall was going late in drafts. I could see him playing better because he's like, screw these guys. I'm going to show them I still have it, and I'm going to go out and party. So it just comes down to whether his body can handle it or not. I'm encouraged by the early results of John Wall. When crazy. He's on, he's an 8 Cat monster.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Well, I that's my own fault there. I just thought it was.
I didn't call John Wall fat.
You call him a party animal. I'm calling him fat. He looks crazy to me.
Do you think he looks fat right now?
Oh, totally. He looks like a totally different human.
I haven't watched him that closely.
It's crazy. He doesn't look like the same human. Like he's been body snatched. All right, lightning round. We're I'm checking my watch, and we are over the hour mark for the actual recorded portion of the show. So we're going lightning speed here on the last 5 or 6 questions. Aaron Bruski, Jonathan Isaac, or Jaren Jackson Jr. rest of season?
It's a very good question. I'm going to go Jaren Jackson, even though I think there could be like hidden upside that we can't project in Jonathan Isaac because we can't just assume his usage rate is going to just grow. He's at the bottom of the barrel though, whereas Jaren Jackson I think is kind of in a normal range for the expected usage. And so I think with Jackson getting this head start, I'm going to go Jackson. It's a safer play, might not have as much upside.
Are you watching Ersan Ilyasova in case he can do anything consistently? I am, but it doesn't look like he's done.
He turned a corner in his career where he went from overrated and disappointing to underrated and like guaranteed to go into a location and get 27 minutes even though he's not supposed to.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think he could do in Milwaukee.
How much rope should I give Zach Collins? That depends, I think, on if you gave him any rope to begin with. Why did people go so crazy after one good game when Nurkic was on a minutes limit?
I'm guessing he sucked tonight.
Yep.
11 and 5.
Oh, actually, not a whole sucking. But
my biggest question with him has been the money counters. Like, yeah, we know we can shoot it. Will he shoot it consistently? Will he get the minutes? But the steals and the blocks are the big question. And then is he going to be efficient as with a lot of his shots coming from 3? He should play a lot for that team, but I don't know that he will play a lot for that team.
Because they still got a Nurk in town. Would you drop Karis LeVert for Chris Dunn? Are you serious? This is a drop and pickup situation? This is crazy. Y'all got to get a deeper league. I don't think I can do this question because that's got to be like an 8-team league. Those guys should both be owned in all fantasy leagues right now.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Get yourself into the hoopball forums and find yourself a league.
There you go. Or if you're just beating the hell out of everyone in this league, sweet. Keep doing it. Keep taking their money.
If you're making money, keep doing it.
Elfrid Payton or Jeremy Lamb rest of season?
Lamb.
And that is the end of the lightning round. We got to all the questions except the ones that got posted that disappeared into the weird chat room abyss between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So again, sorry folks. Next week we'll be back with a live show on Friday, I believe, right? Are we back to the normal schedule this coming one?
We haven't had that meeting yet, Dan.
So maybe's the question. Maybe's the answer to the question. He is at Aaron Bruski on Twitter. It says that actually on your video screen right now because the great Scott Douglas made us little fun things that we can do with this.
Scott Douglas is a saint.
He is a saint. He is a scholar, a gentleman and a scholar. I am at Dan Besbris on Twitter. This is a Hoopball presentation. It's Fantasy NBA Today. At Hoopball Tweets, at Hoopball Fantasy. Make sure to check it all out. Please subscribe to the show. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like the show, feel free to drop us a nice review. We're cool with those as well. And get the in-season premium pass for $3 off with coupon code HeyMaker. Brew, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
He's Aaron Bruski. I'm Dan. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. And now I got to get this show posted on the premium channels as I turn off the video. Let me make sure I'm doing this right.